If you're paying attention, this will piss you off. It's Tinfoil Tuesday.
So if you like exposing truth and dropping truth bombs, then welcome to Tinfoil Tuesday.
I want the truth. Well, a big Shazam to you people. I'm not being hyperbolic to open with that. This is going to piss you off if you're paying attention. It's something that was a little on my radar, but holy smokes, it's now on the forefront of my brain. We are headed towards not good stuff. Stick with me to the end. I'm going to give you a few things for you to chase and to research and some buzzwords that you need to know when you jump onto the net. And then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the sliminess up in DC. What a bleeping mess. Yeah, buckle up. Today's episode is brought to you by you people. Thanks for every thumbs up. Appreciate y'all. No sponsor today. Just want to say thanks for every comment. Thanks for being a part of the channel. We have a lot of fun here. I'll be back tomorrow on Hump Wednesday, then on a Thursday, then a Spicy Friday. Y'all know how the weeks work around here. So, thank y'all. All right, I was on Reddit just the other day, which is an adventure going through the sewers of the internet in itself, but I stumbled on this. This individual, and I don't know their name, posted this pic right here, and they were at a place in New York City, and they called an Uber, and the Uber X ride was $23. And the person next to them was also trying to call the Uber. Me and my buddies do that. Who can get it first because they want to pay to be nice to their friends, and their friends, exact same location, exact same ending location, 7682. And he posted this over onto Reddit, and instantly these pop up. Quantum Modulus says, welcome to surveillance pricing. They've been doing this for years, and it's not getting better anytime soon. Wow, that's the first I've heard of surveillance pricing. This is from OP, the guy with the Uber. I had to look that up, and that's insane, something I'd expect from these companies. And I saw that, I'm like, yeah, surveillance pricing, and things go up and down. I remember years and years ago having to get on one computer, search for airline tickets, clean off the cookies, and then go to another computer just in case to be able to go back to the original pricing, because the second time, third time, fourth time you search for the same trip, the prices go up every single time. And I remember that. And then random user, Two Bratty Cat, says this, and here's the genesis of my rabbit hole chasing. Just wait until it hits grocery stores. They're calling it dynamic pricing. And yes, it means you and another person will be paying different prices for the same item. They're using facial recognition, AI, and all kinds of other crap. They'll be jacking up grocery prices when people are most likely to need them, stopping by after work to get dinner items as an example, and offering promos to specific customers based on their shopping habits. How much does milk cost today? You won't know. Maybe they want to charge you an extra $1 because they sense you really need it. Maybe they give your friend 50 cents off because they think they're in a lower income bracket. That got my attention. It's 100% real and dystopian. All right. Is this real? Dynamic pricing and surveillance pricing. Well, last year, Delta, and this year, this summer, Delta says they are, according to Fortune magazine, Delta moves towards eliminating set prices in favor of AI that determines how much you personally pay for a ticket. Here's the part that should piss you off. This is, I think this one's according to the ACLU. They get a bad rap 94% of the time because they're a dumpster fire. But the ACLU actually does some good stuff. They do fight in other areas that I actually support, and it's complicated. We can agree there. It's an example, according to the ACLU. If an airline's prices seem high just when you need a ticket the most, you try to look at their flights without signing into their site. Airlines, what they do, uses cookies or your IP address to figure out who you are. Been doing this for a decade. You clear the cookies and use a VPN to disguise your IP address. Airline, use device fingerprinting to identify you nonetheless. You switch computers to defeat such fingerprinting. Airline refuses to show you prices at all unless you provide the actual government-mandated identity that you will use when you fly. Log in to see price. That's your driver's license. You ask a friend to look at prices for you and possibly buy you a ticket currently permitted. Your friends or anybody can buy somebody else a ticket. Just put your name in as the passenger. I've done it. Airline obtains your contact list, a common set of data grabbed by companies, figures out what's going on, perhaps aided by AI looking at your social media, and charges your friend the high price too. You Try to find a more distant friend. It's not good. Now, at this point, most folks, maybe not y'all, because y'all are the freedom community, most folks in the regular world, they immediately go, the government needs to fix this. The government needs to look at this. Everyone, and almost everybody, they always say the government is the answer. And if you ask any 18-year-old, hey, what about X, Y, or Z? You know, those oceans have plastic in them. Well, we need Congress to look at that. Well, FTC has been looking at it. This is from 2024, a year ago. Federal Trade Commission issues orders to 8 companies seeking information on surveillance pricing. Agency seeks information about products and services that use personal data, including finances and browser history, to set individualized prices for the same goods or services. This is still from the initial project that they did in 2024. They had 4 areas that they were looking at: types of products and services being offered with these 6 companies, data collection and inputs. You can pause this and read all this. Customer and sales information and impacts on customers and prices. And then this year in January, their actual study came out. Here's the results. FTC surveillance pricing study indicates wide range of personal data used to set individualized consumer prices. The agency details interim insights from staff perspective, examining how companies track consumer behaviors to inform surveillance pricing. It'd be a lot more fun today for me to show you UFOs and aliens and Bigfoot and all that and Nephilim and all of that. This today should piss you off, but it's words on a screen. However, I believe this deeply. This will affect all of our lives in the coming, I'm telling you, in the coming short term. Now, it was not 100% the entire group that did this, the commission that did this study. They didn't all agree. In fact, there were a couple that dissented. We'll talk about that. This is from their 2025 results. Allow me to read this paragraph. Initial staff findings show that retailers frequently use people's personal information to set targeted, tailored prices for goods and services, from a person's location and demographics down to their mouse movements on a web page, said FTC Chair Linacon. I don't know who that is. The FTC should continue to investigate surveillance pricing practices because Americans deserve to know how their private data is being used to set prices they pay and whether firms are charging different people different prices for the same good or service, which is true. This is from that same study. What goes into surveillance pricing? You can pause and check that out. What's the price of X? And it's all determined by X for consumer C through channel Z at location L at time T. It's multi-dimensional. They're looking at a lot of stuff, and it looks like they're using AI already to determine prices for you. Prices go up and down. The FTC staff found that the intermediaries worked with at least 250 clients that sell goods or services ranging from grocery stores to apparel retailers. The Federal Trade Commission found that widespread adoption of this practice may fundamentally upend how consumers buy products and how companies compete. Now, couple of the board did dissent. There were only 5 people on this commission that led the commission. They, of course, had a staff, and 2 of them said, no, don't release this data. Dissenting statement of Commissioner Andrew Ferguson, joined by Commissioner Melissa Holyoke, regarding the surveillance pricing 6B staff research summary. 6B is the jargon they are using to be able to do this study. It's an FTC inside baseball thing. I read their dissent. These 2 folks, Ferguson and Holyoke, they dissented on this entire study. And I first saw that and I said, oh, they're a bunch of libs saying, oh, no, big interest for big corporate America. No, not at all. In this dissent that Ferguson wrote and was joined and given a thumbs up by Holyoke, they simply said this: on January 17th of 2025, this study was rushed in order for the outgoing Biden administration to be able to take a victory lap and say, look what we did. They rushed the study in order to say, hey, Trump didn't do this. This is not on Trump's, this is not on his thumbs up. This is a Biden thing. And they're saying, hey, we are politicizing a study as important as the buying and selling of consumer goods in a capitalistic society. The ACLU says holding Facebook accountable for digital redlining. And I read that and I stopped and I went, what the frick is digital redlining? Some of y'all don't know this about me. I have a background in social science research, and I don't talk about that very often because it's gay. and just not that interesting. I spent 2 years of my life doing research. I know how to do research, and it is my background. I would call myself a layperson on steroids big time. Top of the food chain as a layperson. There's a thing called, you heard me use the word jargon a minute ago. You'll also hear the word lingo. There's different ways that the word lingo is used. However, in any subgroup, subgenre, any type of business, you're going to have individualized jargon or lingo, words or phrases that are specific to whatever you're talking about. And so you've got to know, and here's my advice for y'all today, or at least an idea. You've got to know the right lingo to be able to chase this stuff. Those of y'all, and a lot of y'all do like to do research after my Tuesday episodes, I'm going to give you 3 jargon lingo ideas that you can chase. And for the sake of time, I'm not going to chase them. The first is this idea of digital redlining. Online ad targeting practices often reflect and replicate existing disparities, effectively locking out marginalized groups from housing, job, and credit opportunities. And that's a mess. Next, the second one, this is from Equitable Growth of Washington Center. How artificial intelligence uncouples hard work from fair wages through surveillance pay. We've already talked about surveillance pricing. This is surveillance pay practices and how to fix it. And then finally, this is from Columbia Law Review on algorithmic wage discrimination. 3 words, algorithmic wage discrimination. And it's an article by Vina from, again, the Columbia Law Review. Let me make a prediction. Here is my prediction. Digital. This is important and maybe the most important thing that I'm going to talk about today. Digital IDs could kneecap attempts to evade surveillance prices. We currently have a push by lawmakers to get digital IDs in. They're already enacted and the ball is rolling in England. England, as we've talked about on here many times before, is cooked. This is from NextGov FCW. Lawmakers want government to promote use of digital IDs. This is from October a year ago, and this is Bill Foster, a Democrat in Illinois. Shocking. He walks through it, but he's just a spokesperson for the left. And I'm at the point now where I stop. And we've said for years and years and years, Big Pharma is in the back pockets of Congress. And we saw when Trump was trying to get Robert F. Kennedy Jr. into his position, for no reason at all, Congress is just banging gavels and going after him. And then none of it made sense. Well, they're all coming after him because Big Pharma told them to. And there's other entities that are even more entrenched in Congress and in the Senate and even in the White House and certainly in the 3-letter agencies. I'm going to say this. You're going to watch dynamic pricing and surveillance pricing overtake our lives in the coming days. If they find out and figure out that you have a death in the family and they know you have to travel, get ready to pay triple. If you're stopping by for after work at a grocery store, get ready to pay more. If they know that you have a medical condition or a current injury, get ready to pay more for simple things like Neosporin down at Walgreens. This is predatory, dangerous, and will again, even in this economy, Congress, slimy, these folks right here, slimy, demonic Congress is once again willing to sacrifice you and the well-being of your family and the well-being of Americans to line their own pockets. Follow the money. Surveillance pricing should chill you to your bones.
Welcome to Tinfoil Tuesday. We hope you sing along.
You want answers?
Come on, Johnny B.